Good evening. Good evening. Praying that you guys are doing well. We are literally live right now. So, what I want you guys to do right now, as you're watching this, I need you guys to start sharing this with your people, start sharing this with your followers, start liking, subscribing, do whatever you need to do. We are up live as we speak right now. I am just so excited about this conversation that we're having tonight. I'm excited about what's going to come, what is going to occur from this as a result. Again, look, listen, I am just hold on, turn that on, make sure everybody see me. Yeah, I'm just so excited to have Minister Pope back on again as we have Wellness Wednesday. And we are just looking
Yeah.
forward to just a wonderful conversation. Look! I guess we're just gonna be doing this a lot of times going forward. We gonna
Listen, I'm here for it. So
I know
we're gonna
that
make it do what it do.
we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to. So today we decided, we talked about it a little bit, and well, I had a challenge. I ain't gonna lie to you. Before we get into our topic today, I know you were telling me to watch the Clark Sisters. Now I ain't watch it on Saturday, but I watched it yesterday, and
Yes.
I got nothing to say. I just that woman, look, whoever played Maddie Moss Clark, she better get an Oscar. I'm telling you that right now. Whoever played Dr. Maddie Moss Clark, she better get herself an Oscar award. I'm telling you.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Mm-mm.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, Lord. Hold on. We got some technical difference. You can't. Hold on. Let me see. You see. Can you hear me now? Hold on. Make sure the audio is good. Hold on. You got some audio?
Nope. I still can't hear you. I don't know what happened.
Uh-oh. It's going in and out.
Technical difficulties. Give us a second.
Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Let Facebook let me know. Hold on. Let me know if you can hear. I see Sister Dawson. I see you. You guys able to hear? Okay, they can hear me. Ooh. Okay, they're saying they can hear both of us. Oh Jesus. Okay. Hold on. Oh yeah, your video.
I'm gonna log out and then log back in.
Okay, and log back in. All right. Let me know. All right. So Mr. Pope gonna log back in. We still gonna have the conversation. She gonna log back in a minute. Oh Lord. So, anyways, Dr. Maddie Moss Clark. Listen, I'm telling you right now, Dr. Maddie Moss Clark, whoever played Dr. Maddie, listen, she got to get herself an Oscar. I'm telling you, I watched her. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Woo! Praise the Lord.
Some know my
Praise his name. Praise his name. Woo! We thought we lost you. We thought we lost you.
I'm here. The enemy thought he was gonna stop us, but we're gonna keep moving.
Help! But the Lord, but all right. But no, seriously, Dr. Maddie Moss Clark should have gotten, like, it was such a mistake. Like, I remember growing up listening to her. Like, she was just perfect. It was like a mystique about Dr. Clark that was just it was like she was like a legend.
Yes, definitely. She's a legend, and I don't feel like we got enough, honestly. I feel like it should have been multiple parts.
Yeah.
So we could get a better insight into even some more of her history and then into their lives. I feel like there were a lot of things that were cut off. in the midst of the storyline. So I think it was great. I loved it, especially from a combination of the ministry and mental health piece. There were a lot of things that I saw in there, but I would love to see more, honestly.
You know what? And that's what I was about to say, because like, okay, so for one, there was a couple things, and I mean, we can add this to the piece because this segues into what we're talking about today. One of the things that I saw really, like, I don't know if you really saw it at the beginning. I kind of saw that was a kind of a red flag. And I mean, look, everybody's going to debate me tonight, but that's all right, because guess what? I got nothing but time today. But like, she woke her kids up, like it was in 63 when they began the movie, like she woke them up early in the morning. And it was obvious, you could tell they really didn't want to do it. But I mean, you know, the Clarksons, they end up being great singers, gospel singers, stuff like that. But honestly, like, I saw that as a red flag. Like, they woke up and it's like she was forcing them to like do this music piece. Like, it was almost like they didn't have a say. So like, I felt like, honestly, that was just a huge red flag, because that's how, stuff starts happening, stuff going down, especially with Twinkie,
Yes. I think that's really where you see the beginning of the amount of pressure that they were put under, not only as it related to their gift of singing, but the amount of pressure as it related to their beliefs spiritually, and how that impacted them and the choices that they made, whether those were good or bad choices that they made. And ultimately, as you go through the storyline, you see how all of that impacted them as they went down through the years. So definitely, we talk about pressure, and, pressure builds diamonds, and, that's great. They're all, beautiful gems, and they have great legacy and all of that. But that pressure, I think, as you see through the movie, led them to those breaking points that they all endured in some way, shape, or form. And I don't think that those are the moments that we see enough when we're talking about healing and talking about what it is that we go through, because they all had pressure, whether it was their own individual pressure that they had placed on themselves. They had the family pressure of what their name meant, what, their mom's legacy. And then they had the pressure from the church. And all of those can create, depending on the dynamic of what it is, can create a mindset that could either lead to destruction or it could lead to a greater path to destiny. And I think we were able to see them go to that place of destiny, but there was some destruction that happened along the way.
Yeah, and I kind of want to like, and I think that really segue into like healing, because honestly, I think like from that movie in itself, like the huge thing that I saw was like Twinkie, and I'll go back to Twinkie. We'll go to Denise in a minute. But like, for example, like for Twinkie, like she was always going, like she gave up, like what Denise was saying, she gave up going to Howard. Like she gave up like her dreams and her aspirations. And, for example, when she, did that, sold the records to get a car, and being, lambasted by her mother because of it, like it was obvious, like it was just a lot of like tough, like it was like a tough pills to swallow. Like not everything that we see, especially with people in the church, is glittering gold. Like behind closed doors, it's just a mess. So like, yeah.
So with Twinkie, what I think was brought out in that aspect was, and I did a live with Fennell, I think it was last week, where we talked about healing identity. She really didn't have her own identity of understanding who she was. She was Mattie Moss Clark's daughter. She was Mattie Moss Clark's organ player. She was Mattie Moss Clark's singer. But who was Twinkie really? And I think that plays a part when we talk about healing, is that you really have to know who you are. What is your identity outside of who your family is, outside of what other people think about you, but being able to stand firm on who it is that God really created you to be. And I think that's why you see her grabbing on for so many things. You saw her go for the first guy who, you know, she thought loved her because she was looking for something that she could not find because she did not know who she was in and of herself. And so, you know, when we talk about healing, that is a very key component of it, is knowing who you are. Getting back to the basics and the foundation of establishing the identity that God has established for you, and not in all of these other things. So, you know, she was looking for it in the car, she looked for it in the man, she looked for it in all these other ways, but she really needed to get back to the Father and get back to wholeness and healing for herself.
Listen, look, and you know what? You said something there about, you know, finding the Father, because there was a quote. Listen, there was a quote that Maddie said. She was like, no, so it was between Twinkie. So look, I just want to say, first off, I was about to hit Twinkie's ex-husband. Listen, when I saw her, look, I was done. I was ready. Look, I was ready to go to blows. I'm like, bro, let me go through that screen and tell him something. You don't touch the doctor, Maddie Moss Clark. Right. So when they both got into it, Dr. Maddie said, you should be serving God and not me. And then that's when Twinkie said, I don't know how to discern the either, if I'm serving you or if I'm serving God. So it was like, honestly, it's like that dichotomy of, you know, Twinkie struggling, figuring out like what's her journey, and if her journey is like her mom's journey, and her mom basically saying, I'm doing it for God, but really she's putting herself as a godlike complex. And unfortunately, you know, there's like, people, and I think that's a good conversation that we can talk about how people, you know, unfortunately, because of the situation that they may face at home, may cause them not to really find their true identity, to the point where when they do go outside, or when they do, you know, I guess find somebody, they end up, make an error in judgment. Like, how you gonna tell somebody you look like a woman, you appear like a woman, but you still a child? Like, what?
I mean, but you know, and maybe it was because of who she was and how her delivery, you know, was, that came off so strong and misunderstood. But I think she had some key points, and maybe it was in the sense of, she wasn't saying it it didn't seem as if she was saying it from a place of trying to help her necessarily get to that place, which is why I think Twinkie took such offense to it in a way, because it's like, you know, well, if I'm all of this, like, how did I get here? You know what I mean? Like, who's helping me to get out of this place? But I think it was a wake-up call for her as well, that you got to get your life together. And so sometimes those wake-up calls, those moments of reality hit, and they hit hard. So like I said, I see both sides of it. I see the harshness of it, but then I see the reality of it. Like, you need that. You needed that check. We all have to get that check somewhere in our life to say, all right, Jazz, you got to get it together. Like, get yourself together so that you can go out here and truly be who it is that God called you to be. Right.
And that's huge. And I think another person, I feel like, I hope you guys are enjoying this. Look, we got a thing right here. If you got any comments or questions, we're segueing into healing during quarantine. We're gonna get there, but this movie again. I just had to talk about this movie because I just saw so many nuggets. I just saw so many points here. Like, I think another thing, and we talked about a lot last week, a little bit, which was again about really, like, sometimes the problematic format of church infrastructure. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, okay, we may talk about the Church of God in Christ, and I think I got a brother here that I'm close with. I ain't gonna talk about the Church of God in Christ, but I love y'all.
That's not our intentions. We didn't
No. But, like, honestly, you could even see with our context, like, we both grew up in the Baptist church. Like, you know, and you know, we probably got stories that we can even think of people either in our own lives, in our family, or people that are connected with us that have experienced trauma as a result of the church, like, you know, what's his name, Bishop Clark, which was abusing his wife, like, and then them basically telling her is either keeping your position or supporting your daughters, and we kick you out.
Yes. So there was, when you talk about all of that, it really symbolizes the abuse that takes place, not just within the family context, but within the church context. You know, I know we said we weren't really going to the niece yet, but the underlying kind of tone is, in some way, she was being taken advantage of. She probably was enduring some form of abuse that led to her having those children, or at least one of the children who was by one of the bishops, elders, whoever in the Church of God in Christ, especially at, you know, the age that they were. So we really have to take a look at the church. And once again, this is not to bash any denomination, because we all have our own issues and isms and things of that nature, but to take a look at a whole and say, what is it now that we can do that these things are coming out and they're being exposed? How can we hold ourselves, the church, accountable to really bring out the things that are wrong so that we can be who we need to be? As we're talking about quarantine, the church cannot go back to being how it was. We cannot continue to do things how they were done, because we're going into a new era. We're going into new things. We're going to be dealing with new people and new issues. And so the old ways don't work. They're not going to just take that. They're not going to settle for, well, let's sweep it under the rug and we keep it pushing. They're not going to come like that. We have to truly target those things that are wrong within us so that we can be right. And so whether that's, you know, sexual abuse, molestation, whether it's the verbal abuse, whether it's physical abuse between spouses and all, you know, those different types of things, we really have to learn how to deal with those things, really get people the help that they need so we can truly be healed. I think that's the, you know, the key thing that comes out of this is that it's no longer, we can't just keep putting the Band-Aid over top of it. Because what we're doing is we're putting the Band-Aid over it, but it's not healing. It's not getting the air that it needs to be able to form the scab and all those things, so then the scab can be removed and that there's newness. We're peeling it off and re-exposing it and allowing infection and all of that to get in, so we can't be healed. This is the time where we have to make sure that we are getting ourselves right. The church is getting itself right so that we can be right for those who are going to be coming in.
Yes, and so as you guys are watching right now, come on, continue to share. Come on, continue to share. Come on, give some hearts, tag some people in it. As you can see in the ticker below, if you have any questions or comments, come on, share those below. We want to kind of go off of what you guys are saying. Again, it's just not only us just two talking those, you know, we've been doing this for 3 weeks, but we want you guys to sound off. Give us what you think. What you thought about the movie. If you saw it, if you haven't, listen, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. You definitely need to watch that movie. So the first question, we got one question coming before we look. We haven't even got to 7:30 yet, and we got the first question. No, seriously though, comes from Fannel Williams. Hello, God bless you. So first question is, how does one shift from blame to taking responsibility for one's life?
So that comes with knowing and being able to decipher what is yours to take blame, or not necessarily blame, but take accountability for. Because I think blame, in a sense, can continue to bring forth guilt and condemnation and, you know, a lot of negative things. What was my part that I played in it? And not, you know, well, you know, a lot of times when we talk about things, you know, I dressed this way, or what did I do? Did I go against my gut feeling? Did I go against the conviction that I had within myself to know that I shouldn't have done that? And what can I do to be better? I think it also encompasses you having the right type of people around you that will help you better understand how to take accountability for those things, who will help support you in being able to change your mindset, and seeing things in a more positive light, and that will help keep you on the path of continuing to be better. Because a lot of times we try to do so many things on our own. And when you're talking about healing, yes, it is a personal thing, but we need a support system to be able to push us and to be able to confide in, because we do have those weak moments. We have moments where we want to go back, or we might be triggered. So you have to have those people around you that can kind of insulate you so that you don't hit those harsh realities again. And I think it's just really going to God and asking him to show you where the errors are in your ways, so that you can truly change them and be able to move forward.
That's so, and you know, and the thing is that I kind of, I don't know, I feel like that segues into like, I really, it goes back to Maddie. So I like Maddie is like, she's like the, I don't know if I want to call her the anti-hero or what, but it's like the way that she did things and the way that she set a rule and a precedent, like some were good, like Jackie was good, Dorinda was good, and Karen was good, but it was like Denise and Twinkie, it was like it was like because at the scene where they were trying to sign the record deal, like whatchamacallit, Denise was like, she was like, no, like you gave me the scraps. You gave the rest of them everything, but you gave me the scraps. Like when you hear that, like, because at first when they were portraying Denise, I'm like, Denise, why you doing this? Like, you look, she giving you the world, stuff like that. And then I was looking, then I was realizing, like, okay, like, because there's a couple things, like, and I'm not gonna go too deep into it because again, you know, my theological construct, I'm a very liberative type of person. So like when you were talking about, I guess, Jackie wearing pants, you know, and Maddie telling her, no, you ain't getting inside this house unless you put on a skirt. Like, this is a sanctified house, you know, stuff like that. So I can't really go into that piece because that might be a little too hot for the Saints tonight. But I really honestly think that it was toxic. It was toxic, like the way that she was like towards Denise, like, because Denise was at a place where she wanted to feel accepted too, like, and it was obvious that Maddie wasn't taking responsibility. She said, all this time I tried to get you guys to love God, to serve God, and to be sanctified and all this stuff. But little did she know, it was like, again, that God complex was coming into play. Like, boom, like, this is what you're doing. This is how you're going to be. And it was like, she wasn't taking responsibility. Like, even to the end, you saw she wasn't taking responsibility.
And I think, you know, and granted, remember, as I prefaced in the beginning, we only see so much of it. But from what it kind of looked like, remember, you have 5 different girls in a house that all have their own personalities. But you have Jackie, who is her daughter, her eldest daughter.
Yeah.
But she's not the child of the father that's currently in the house.
Right.
So there's a separation there. So though we don't see everything, you know, throughout the movie, you can kind of pick up on it, like, especially when they had the fight. Her and her husband had the fight. You know, you're not even my child. I would doubt that happened only that time. So you've got probably a child who is now grown at this point, who still feels like they're not good enough or not a part of a family because they, you know, they don't have the same father. So you have that dynamic. Then you have Denise, who is now, you know, she claims you're the oldest Cullum, but I'm the oldest Clark sister. But she's kind of in the middle of all of them because she's trying to figure out who she is and not necessarily being the oldest, but trying to stand her ground and put her position out there of who am I really, in this family. And then it seemed like the younger three kind of almost assimilated and gravitated toward what their mom told them to do and how they told them to be. It's kind of the image that you got from them. So it's like you have the older two who kind of developed their own way of trying to figure themselves out, where the other three are like, we're gonna stay close to mama because this is what mama said, and mama, live like this and things will be good. And then you've got this dynamic. But then if you look at it too from this perspective, even in their issues, Dr. Clark had her ways of characterizing them. So, Dorinda's my preacher, Karen's my this, Twinkie's my this. That creates a sense of competition and things within itself. So you got all of these different aspects, playing a part in how they were great as a group. They harmonized, they could praise the Lord together. But in the inside of it, there's all these issues that lead to a sense of dissension among them because they're trying to figure out how they fit together outside of being the Clark sisters, the singers.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I'm not gonna say no, it wasn't a trigger because look, I grew up in church. Like I had people in my life that were in the church, but I think it could have been a trigger for some people that were in the church, that grew up in the church, because I heard like when I was looking at the post on Saturday and I didn't see the movie yet, like there was a lot of PKs, a lot of like Baptist, Kojic, Apostolic, Pentecostal. All those people that would say, hey, I know what this is like, where, honestly, I was brought to, this is the image that I have to carry when I come into public. This is what my life is. And God forbid if I do anything else but that. Like, I'm expected to be in the church. I'm expected to be either a preacher, a pastor, a bishop, or, an elder. I'm expected to be a musician. Shoot, that's the lowest thing you can do in the church. Look, decide to go outside. Look, see what happens.
Right.
But I think and honestly, I mean, I'm glad, like, for some, like, again, talking about Dorinda, she ended up being a preacher. She's in the Church of God in Christ now, a huge prominent figure, found herself, was very successful, married and stuff like that. Then, Karen Clark, listen, I just want to say this. I'm sorry. I hate to go off topic, but listen, Karen is the best singer of the Clark sisters. I'm sorry. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Karen is the best singer. You can debate me later, but Karen is the best singer. If you never heard her sing Jesus is a Love Song and that high note for 15 seconds, listen, she is the best singer of the Clark sisters. But anyway, like all of them, yes, they did find their way, but like, again, like you said, like Denise and Twinkie, I mean, yeah, Twinkie, musician and stuff like that. And she made her own of that. I honestly think, and this is my opinion, I feel like Jackie found her niche because Jackie became a nurse. That was her outside profession. Like, this is what, this is what I do. Like, I'm not going to let this dictate what who I am and what I should be. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so. And I think that helps when you what you're, we all have our godly purpose, right? We all have that piece of us that is meant to work in the church, in the body of Christ, but then we also have an earthly purpose. And sometimes the two go together and sometimes they don't. But I think she was very strong, and I think that was something that's kind of overlooked in the sense of things. When we talk about how to, I think that kept her from being so entrenched in a lot of different things because it helped her to get out. It helped her to still be able to keep going strong, even in the midst of everything that she was going through, because she had something else that she was working towards.
Yes. So here's the thing. So we have another question. So you guys keep your questions coming through. The next question it comes from Darnisha Hall, actually one of my members. God bless you, Sister Hall. She asked, so how do you overcome the feeling of being the black sheep with your family without feeling a smudge of sadness, even though you know you have God in heart?
Okay. So being a black sheep of a family doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. So I don't know the full context of, what determines that you're a black sheep, but there are many of us that are just different. There are many of us who have decided that we aren't going to go the same route as those in our family and do the things that they did. And sometimes that makes us an outcast. Sometimes because we don't necessarily agree with the way things were done or how they were said, and things of that nature. So I think that comes just to a place of you really setting your boundaries with your family, knowing how you can and cannot deal with them. Just because they're family does not mean that we have to continue to keep putting ourselves into those situations and allowing them to keep putting that identity over us that is not true or that is negative, and it continues to reinforce all of these negative thoughts and feelings that we have within ourselves. So that would be the first thing, is to really figure out how to put your boundaries in place so that you are protected, so that you are not continually putting yourself in such negative environments. But then once again, going to God and getting your true identity, knowing who you are, and not putting on those false identities, those false characteristics of yourself, so that you can continue to walk boldly in who God has called you to be, walking with your head held high and being able to do what he's put you on this earth to do. I just think that's really the biggest thing about it, is we have to stop allowing people to label us. We have the power to break whatever generational curses that are over our lives, our families' lives, our histories or whatever. You put in the work, and the rest will, God will do the rest.
Yes. Wow. That's good. That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. Listen, that right there. Look, we haven't gotten to Denise. I just want to get to Denise. Lord knows I want to get to Denise. Look, but anyways, those who are watching, continue to share this. Share this. Come on, tag somebody. If they need to be in this broadcast, come on, put them in here. I hope you are loving this broadcast thus far. We are only 30 minutes in, and it's already it's already full with information and inspiration. Look, if you loving this, come on, let us know that you love it. And again, as you can see the ticker, if you have any questions or comments, please put those below, as we'll answer it as we continue to segue through this conversation. So I want to talk about Denise. Denise is interesting to me. So I said I was going to do it before, but I really want to talk about it. So like, Denise was not only trying to feel acceptance, like we were talking about before, but honestly, I think that Denise was exploring herself. If you exploring her sexuality, and sexuality is a huge thing that the church, especially the Black church, don't want to talk about. That was like terrorism if you talked about that, you even thought about kissing somebody, like literally. So the fact of the matter that Denise was already she was already in a denomination that was already strong about being, in exploring sexuality. Then she gets pregnant, then she gets, ostracized, then, the comments like Dorinda said, like, you're my sister, but you're hard to love. Like, how, I feel like Denise kind of got the bad rap. That's what I think. I'm just playing devil's advocate tonight. I feel like she gets the bad rap because she was at a place where she was trying to, get herself where she needed to be.
Right. And, think about the time that we're talking about in the 1980s, probably early 90s. In the Black church, you're not talking about going to therapy. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about seeking counseling and getting guidance, especially from somebody outside of the church, to be able to help us. So what are they all doing? But especially Denise trying to figure out her own way. And so when you're left to your own vices, you try to figure out what's out there. And when you've grown up under such strict rules, you've been dealing with abuse in the home, whether it's from your mother, whether it's from your father, when you're just dealing with all these different things, when you get a little taste of freedom, sometimes you take that a little too far. And I think, she might have she got that freedom. She liked how it felt, and she just kept going with it. And that was her outlet. That was her release. That was her way to be able to get away from all of the problems and the issues and the trying to figure out how she fit in as Dr. Maddie Moss Clark's daughter, especially, trying to be the oldest of the Clark sisters, and just, okay, here it is. And if that meant for her to give her body to someone, whether she, was seeking out love, whether she was just seeking out the feeling of what this, sex was, because that's oftentimes what happens. We don't know what it's like to have sex when we go to have sex. You know what I mean? It's talked about. It's supposed to be this awesome, great thing, and it's publicized and it's everywhere. And, the music talks about it. Well, let me try it. And then you keep going. So, for her, it was just her way of figuring out things. And did it cause a lot of problems for her, or more problems for her as it relates to her family? Definitely. Has it impacted how she deals with her family still? Absolutely. But I don't think anyone ever really sat down to truly get it. It doesn't seem like they ever really sat down to get a true understanding of what it is that she was going through or what it is that she was seeking after. It almost seems like it kind of went back to, well, you're not living the life. We're coaching. We're holiness. Holiness is right. Holiness is this. This is how we're supposed to be living it. Because you're not doing that, you need to get your life together. That's pressure. How do you handle that? You continue to rebel.
Yeah, and that's what it seemed like, because honestly, like, that was when she said, like, for real, like, y'all don't care. Y'all really don't care. Y'all so worried about getting yourselves this record deal that you don't know who you're doing it at the expense of. And I think, like, that's the reality of, like, some people, when we talk about this healing, is that's probably one of the reasons why, they decide, why they don't talk anymore. And then this, at the funeral, it was like, that was like the only time she came back. And that was because they said the record deal was in the 80s and Maddie died in the 90s. So that was almost a decade that she had no contact with them, and that's just years. So this is like so many years. So let me ask you this dynamic. And I mean, this is a reality. We talked about this when we began this whole entire, transparency / wellness about, now that everyone is home, everyone is not working anymore, not working in their area if they're non-essential, and now they're at home, they're with their thoughts or they're isolated. Like, how can we segue from this movie to really encourage us and help us to really understand, like, the true definition of what healing is while we're in quarantine, and what does that look like?
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about healing, healing can look different for different people. Just as I think I talked about it in another video, when we talk about forgiveness looks different for different people. So you have to find and allow God to show you what that healing looks like for you. Sometimes in order to get healed, you may never, ever be able to go to the person who hurt you and tell them what they did to you. You will never be able to talk about it with that person and they genuinely understand where you're coming from, because sometimes they either don't feel that they're wrong, they don't think, they don't understand how what they did was wrong, because maybe in their family or with what they've been through, they think that that's right. So you just have to learn how to be able to get to a place where you are able to have an understanding of what happened to you or what happened around you, and knowing how you can move forward with a sense of peace, that doesn't carry so much weight. It's not such a thing that it's constantly getting to you all the time, but that you can walk around and use it to be able to help minister to other people. And that doesn't require you to have a license, but when you minister, you're being able to talk to other people and share what it is that you've been through to help them get through. That's the biggest thing, that everything that we go through is meant for it to be able to help someone else. And I think that's a bigger part of it, is that when you get to the place where you're not able to talk about it from a place of bleeding on people with your issues and going to them almost as if they're your therapist or your counselor, but you're going to them and being able to share the lessons that you learn, and give them, skills and tools to be able to persevere through whatever it is that they've been through. So I think that really encompasses, healing, and, really starting with that forgiveness piece, forgiving yourself. A lot of times when you talk about, especially with abuse, when it's, sexual abuse, rape, molestation, the victims blame themselves. I did this. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I had this on. I shouldn't have done that. All these different things. Forgive yourself. Some things are just not okay, and they should have never been done. And that's not on you. That's on that person. Forgive yourself. I think it always goes back to that. Forgiveness has to be a key component of healing.
Wow. And thinking about that, like, it makes it so harsh, but it makes it so true that if both Maddie and Denise had that moment, I think things would have been so much different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really thought about that. Like, Maddie died and Denise wasn't there when she died or when she was getting sick and close to death to really do that process of forgiveness. Wow.
But I think, with her, and I know you said you're going to go back and you're going to watch, the Larry, I think it's Reed, interview that he did with her. And I watched it as well. But I think a lot of it comes back to getting to a personal place of healing where you legit let go of what this person thought or how you feel that they did it or what they didn't do or what they shouldn't have done or whatever. But just accept that something happened that caused a situation to turn out negatively. Because at the end of the day, for any of it that happened to them or anything that has happened to us, we can't go back and we can't change it. We can't go back and fix it. We can't go back and erase it. We can realize what happened to us and deal with it from that perspective to be able to move forward. So many times we're trying to go back to that place of shoulda, coulda, woulda, that it takes us to the past, and we can't change that. Our main focus when we're looking for healing is to be able to move forward. And a lot of times we get so stuck trying to do all the other things, going backwards, or just not even wanting to move forward because it's uncomfortable sometimes to have to deal with all of the things that we've been through. But once you begin to deal with them and you open up and you're able to express it and be able to get peace from it, then you're truly able to walk in the fullness of your healing. It just takes for you to start. And many people don't want to start.
Wow. And it feels like we're going back to last week, but it makes so much sense to talking about healing while in quarantine, because I just honestly think that some people just don't want to start. Like, because if they start, they got to let go. And some people just don't want to let go. Like,
the pain has become comfort to them, not realizing that pleasure is on the other side of that. And the pleasure is more comfortable than the pain. But because you've gotten so comfortable here, you think that this is all that you're meant for. Yes, the Bible calls us to a place to suffer some, but that's not all he called us to do. you go through the suffering to be able to be tested and tried for the purpose. You go through the suffering to become better. The olive has to get crushed in order to bring the anointing out. That's the good part.
Yeah, talk about it.
I
Yeah.
want to get rid of all the unnecessary stuff. So I got to go through some pressure. I got to remove some things. Some people got to get removed out of my life. I got to get rid of some old habits. That's healing. We can't be the same. If you want to stay the same, then I guess that's what you'll do. But if you really want true healing, then that requires you to do and be different.
My God, that's wow. That's a word. That's a word right there. That's a word. I think that's another thing, because not only do people realize they got to let go, but now it's like people have to change. And I think that's scary for people, because this type of change, you don't know what you're going to become after the process is over with. You don't know if you're going to be the better, or you may be, there's some things that you're about to realize in yourself. I mean, how? Oh Lord, have mercy. Okay, look, we got to keep on going. Look, I don't want to. I want to deal with that because you preaching tonight. So listen, look, I told you, look, I done Bible study. Look, we might as well make this another Bible study right here. But seriously though, like, so what are some ways? What are some methods? We talked about self-care, but what are some methods, I guess, in the self-care format that we were using, or what are some steps that you would say that we could heal while we're at home, or what are some activities or things that we can do or begin to do or think about doing?
Yes. So first and foremost, you see it on my shirt, pray. Praying is going to get you so many things. And so, a lot of times when we talk about prayer, people feel like, our Father, which art in heaven, thou dost this, that. No, prayer is just you talking to God. You going to him, you expressing yourself, your issues, your thoughts, your feelings, but then also giving him the time to be able to communicate back with you. It's a two-way communication. You don't just go to your friend and talk all day and then be like, all right, well, that's the end of the call. No. So you go to him and you talk and you allow him to talk back to you. And don't get so confined into him speaking in one way. I think so. That's a whole nother thing. But prayer is definitely the first place to start. There are a lot of books that you can read that will help you on the journey, that will, I believe, help prompt you to be able to go back to certain places in your memory, and then using a journal along with that to be able to write those things down so you can figure out, certain things. One of my favorite books when we talk about healing is Wholeness by Touré Roberts. That's Sarah Jakes Roberts' husband. But that book is really, really, really good. I think I talked about that maybe last week with the whole mirror piece. But that book, Battlefield of the Mind, by Joyce Meyer, is also a really great book because healing, a lot of times we try to think of it in the physical sense, but healing needs to come in the mind as well, because our minds get changed. We begin to have those negative thoughts and pessimistic thinking and all of those different things. If we change our minds, then we change how we think and how we feel and how we do things. So the more that you begin to, do those things and fill yourself with, biblical truths about yourself and about the healing process and changing yourself, that helps as well. Like I said, with the journaling, just being able to kind of see where your thought patterns are, that helps it helps you to process. So the more that you're writing, the more that you are kind of pulling out those things. And if you feel like you're getting to a place where things are very uncomfortable, that's when you reach out to somebody, a spiritual mother, your pastor, a counselor, or a therapist. Like, certain things, there's only a certain level that you're going to get to by yourself to be able to handle these things, because some things are very deep rooted, they're very hurtful, they're traumatic, and you can't handle that alone. So seeking the help of someone who will be able to truly help you process what it is that you're feeling, and not keep you in the place of, that same comfort zone of just being like, all right, well, you talked about it a little bit. No, when you want to get healing, you gotta take those next steps.
That's wow. And those are perfect. Hopefully, look, I hope you guys were writing that stuff down. Listen, I was writing some other stuff down, as you can see. We'll be back on next week. So make sure y'all write this stuff down. Listen. And if it was too much for you, look, what I'm about to do right now so that you guys can see. Look, follow her. You see that? Look the ticker below. Follow her on Instagram at j.lynn.a. and follow her Facebook, Blessings in Disguise, Disguize. Y'all follow her. She has a LLC business. She not only does coaching, but she does counseling. Amen, somebody. She does therapy.
Worked hard for that.
Yes. Seriously, she is about this. So if you need her services, y'all follow her and she can give you this stuff. Listen. Look, she is free and available. Amen. So, Miss Allison, she says self-care steps to do while we are at home. She says, look, she even puts it down. Look, thank God. Look, she already did it. Look, she put it on the comments already.
That's right, Shay. Thank you, Shay.
She already did it. So y'all make sure y'all like that. I'm pinning that comment right now. So y'all take that with y'all. Look, that is timely information. Y'all make sure that y'all take that. Y'all use it. Because again, these are the effective ways to be healing while we're in quarantine. Wow.
Another one that you can do. I was just thinking about. I'm seeing where my clients sit, so it's bringing things back to my memory. One thing that one tool that we use when we're talking about forgiveness and healing is to write a letter of forgiveness to the person that is a part of the pain, the part of the situation that hurt you. Write those thoughts and those feelings out, get it out, and then destroy it. And once you get it out and you destroy it, don't go back to it. It's done. It's over with. You've let it go. So many times we aren't able to fully move forward in our healing processes because, okay, we get it out, but then I take it right back in. I get it out, but then I go right back. Get it out and let it go.
That's fire. That's fire right there. Wow, that's fire.
Burn it, rip it up, throw it outside, rip it up and then put it on the toilet. Your piping system, but destroy it, get rid of it, let it go.
Wow, that and something, I just thought about that. So I want to get to that. So is it okay? I just want to say this. I don't already know the answer, but I just want to ask it because someone may ask the question. Well, is it okay for me to have feelings as I'm writing this letter?
Yes. You're not a robot. You're going to have feelings. It may make you emotional, but the thing about it is allow yourself to feel that, right? But don't keep yourself so tense and tight and frustrated that you continue to hold that negative energy into your body and it stops the healing process. I went to North Carolina. So I was born in Sandusky, Ohio, moved to North Carolina when I was like 2, and lived there till the time I was 8. And so while there, dealt with some different things. I posted about it on my personal page a while ago, but had not been back to that place since I was a little girl. And so I was still carrying all of those different things mentally and emotionally within me. And I knew that it was still a hindrance to me because I could have the most random thought and feel myself getting angry or frustrated. And it's like, why? This is stuff that happened when I was like 5 and 6. And so I went back to the apartment that my mother lived in at that time. And I couldn't get inside, obviously, but I stood outside and my friend was there with me and she kind of coached me through. But I went back to that place of 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old Jasmine and just let all those thoughts and feelings out. And I cried, but I just allowed myself to feel it. I didn't fight it. I took my time. We stayed there as long as I needed to. And it was the best sense of healing and freedom and peace that I got from all of that. just because I allowed myself to feel. So it's okay. You know what I mean? And not everyone has the courage to go back to the places where they experienced the hurt. But for me, I needed that. And so, having the opportunity to be able to do so is just something I'll never forget. So if you're comfortable with that, do it, as long as it's legal. We were kind of trespassing, so I'm not sure if it was the best decision, but
they were like, well,
it helped me, right?
What are people here for? Yeah. It's a little something. They'll be all right. Look, we'll be gone. But that's awesome though. And so that goes back to like the grieving process too. Like, people are isolated, and and I really want to take this time and really lift up those people in prayer that, and the reality is some people may be at home with an abuser.
Yes.
Some people may be home with somebody that's been touching or molesting. I mean, let's call it how it is. Like,
Yes.
some people aren't really digging this quarantine because they've been using this to get out and be away as much as possible. Now, stuff is closed. We got those people that are in this situation. So, and I know that things do turn around. I do truthfully believe that. I personally faith, and I believe things do turn around. God does intervene on behalf of his children. Never I seen the righteous, never I seen the seed begging for bread. That scripture itself. But so the grieving process. So for now that we got Mother's Day and knowing that things ain't gonna change, you got people who have lost mothers or people who have lost somebody, a loved one and stuff. So how do people heal knowing is that something that is already a hard day is probably going to get worse because now you're isolated, you're at your house. So what does that look like? How does that,
So it's funny because I just had a client here and they are experiencing one of the first birthdays of someone who recently passed away. And they kept saying, it's going to be so hard. It's just going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard. Losing someone is not easy in any sense, so I don't take anything away from that. But the more that we reinforce ourselves with those negative thoughts of how hard it's going to be, how bad it is, the harder it will be for us. But if we can reframe our mindset to realize that, yes, we have lost someone that was near and dear to us. Yes, we have feelings about it, but that we are working in the process of being okay with dealing with it. I think that helps to change how our healing process goes. So I always just, a lot of things, I'm really big into what's called CBT, which deals with a lot of the, the thought process and stuff. Change your mind about it. Don't keep yourself in that negative type of atmosphere. No, you may not be able to blow up balloons and get a birthday cake and celebrate in that way, but remember the good times. And if there were no good times because this person may have abused you or anything, remember that you're no longer in that situation. You're out of that. You're able to move forward. You're still in your right mind. You may have some things that you still carry, but you're in a better position than you once were, right? So I think it just comes in how you are able to put yourself into a better state mentally so that everything else can flow in a different way when it comes to those specific days, whether it's Mother's Day or Father's Day or birthday. When we change our thinking, it helps with so much else that's around us.
That's good. That's so good. And I think that increases encouragement because, with everything that's going on, things will never be the same, and, we segue back to, to end this off. It's like things are changing. I think that this should grant us the opportunity to be a part of that change. Like we can't do the same things that we've been doing before. We can't cope the same ways that we thought was working, but really is made it even worse. And we're trying to figure out why we are the way we are and how we feel the way we feel. And I really think that this movie I think it was the best. I think it was a blessed self-reflection on us, especially those who are in the church. I think that was. I think it was not only on the side of families that deal with dysfunction behind the scenes, but I think it's also a good reflection on the church because I think it put the church in a greater limelight when it comes to we're not perfect. Just because we put on this face and these clothes don't mean is that we're the same when we go home. That who would have thought that this bishop that was wearing, well, first off, his collar was upside, it was the other way.
I think they do that as a respect thing because Bishop Greenleaf's collar is like that too.
Listen, that just the Baptist in me, that makes me cringe. But anyway, the fact of the matter is he could do that, and then he's hitting his wife at home, and he hit his stepdaughter, and that just shows you, a lot of things that people deal with at home, especially in the church. And I think that should give us a wake-up call that we got to do better. I mean, we got to do better.
And I think it displays to the world that even within the church, the body of Christ, we are not perfect, but daily we are striving to be better. Daily we are striving to bring awareness to the fact that we are trying to bring change as it deals with all of these different things. Years ago, you probably wouldn't have even seen the pieces about the suicide. You know what I mean? So to now show that is something that the church is willing and open to talk about because they are the church. You know what I mean? And especially, like you talked about with Dr. Dorinda Clark, being in such high places that we're not just saying that it's just the people, down here in the lowly positions. We all have dealt with these things or are dealing with these things. And so we are trying to work to strengthen, to show that, look, we're growing, we're becoming better. We're not the same church that we were yesterday. And even now, today, where the church is, we won't be that same way tomorrow because we're continuously growing and developing and working on ourselves so that we can truly be the help in the hospital and the place of healing that we truly need to be so that souls can be saved, lives can be changed, that the devil can truly be defeated because we're standing firm in what we say we believe.
Yes. And that right there, I think that takes the icing on the cake. Listen, I don't want to hold everybody up. If y'all love this presentation, come on, let us know. Let Minister Pope, again, you done blessed us the third week. Look, third week in a row. You done made us think, you done made us shout, you done made us you done gave people they freedom. Listen, I'm telling you, look, yes. Lord gonna do something with you. Look, I just really love this opportunity that we just get a chance just to talk and just to really give inspiration and really oh Lord have mercy. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's my member. But anyway, so I got one comment they want us to talk about next week of where's my Boaz.
All right.
Lord have mercy. Did you see that?
Short, Boaz is where he is because that Boaz was meant for Ruth, and wherever yours is where he needs to be, and he's waiting to find you.
You sure you didn't want to make that an hour? We can talk about that for an hour. We can go through that entire scripture for an hour. You hear me?
We could talk about relationships in the quarantine, singleness in the quarantine.
Listen, look, I have you on the line right now. Listen, you know I'm doing that save single and sanctified.
Yes, I saw that.
Look, I'm telling you, I know you're married. You got kids, but just think about it. I know you're not saying. I know you're married. Just ask you. Let's make sure, Mr. Pope, okay? Because I want y'all to be on list. I want you to be a panelist. I do. Just think about it.
Whatever you need. I'm here.
I know that's right. But yes, there is a replay option. So after we finish the live video, you'll be able to see this all in real time. so that after, you know, when you play through this, you can make this. Listen, Minister Pope. I think we need to make a podcast. I think
Let's talk.
Make a podcast. Listen, I think this can go off. I was looking at that. Look, I'm telling you, God has been messing with me yesterday. Podcast just came up in my spirit. I said, let me look this up. And it says that you can use audio or whatever, and you can put it into a podcast format.
It's very simple.
I said the way we are going right now, because right now I think we got over let's see how many comments we got. We got about we got almost close to 60 already in an hour's time. So I think we make a little podcast after this.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So again, thank you guys so much for coming on in. Come on, give us hearts. Let us know that we did a wonderful job. Next week we might talk about Boaz, or we might put it in the little other series, but we'll let you know.
Yes.
If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything like that, please send them below. Thank you so much, Minister Pope. You were wonderful. Y'all be good. Y'all stay safe. Y'all wash your hands. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Minister Pope?
No. Let's see. Thoughts with sweet. I think the biggest thing that comes out of this is that it's time for all of us to get out of our place of comfort. This situation, I believe, really should be pushing us to get out of that place where we have been stuck and stagnant and not willing to, most importantly, if not working on anything. So many times we're talking about working on books and working on this and working on ourselves. This is the time that we truly have to do that. And so if you want to be better, you'll do better. And so you will take the necessary steps. And once again, that does not always mean that you're going to come and sit in a counselor or a therapist's office, but there are so many books, there's so many different tools. You can use Pinterest and find journaling prompts and all kinds of different things to be able to use on your healing journey. So I just pray that whatever it is that you need healing from, that you will give it to God, that you will allow him to show you how what's best for you in order to get your healing in the avenues in which you can get that. So that's my final thoughts.
All right, y'all. That's it right there. So y'all be good. Y'all be safe. We'll see you next week at the same time, 7:00 p.m. for Wellness Wednesday.
Yes.
Y'all be good now. See y'all.
See ya.